Hey, John with Simple Property Management here. Today we have our October market update, and we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into it right now, get rolling. We're going to talk about the rental rates, the fall and the winter kind of slowdown that we normally see. We're going to kind of sprinkle in some resident amenities that they really like. Where are we going with the market? There's a lot of unknowns out there. Why are we a little bit slower than this time last year? Talk about our renewal trends, which that's a good one. And then we're going to give you some tips at the end for the fall and winter, whether that be maintenance tips and also marketing of your unit tips. So let's get rolling. Grand Rapids rental rates. I'm not going to read these all to you. My report that I usually print out can take screenshots of. The PDF this month just is not, the layout isn't right, so I had to copy these over. Actually, I made a mistake in the first video, so I had to redo it. But here we are. One of the big things is the difference between the single family and the multifamily home price. Um, you'll see the two bedroom, a little bit of a larger gap there. And I think a lot of that is because a two bedroom single family home is typically smaller than a fair amount of actually two bedroom multifamilies, in my opinion, because a lot of times these two bedroom multifamilies, and now I'm not talking about your cookie cutter two bed, one bath with a living room and things like that. There's a lot of non-conforming two bedroom units where it might have two bedrooms and it has a third room that might be an office and it can't be a bedroom for some reason. So I see a lot of differences there. Three bed single family to multifamily, almost the same. And then single family to multifamily for the four bed, not a huge difference there either. Um, so let's get into Wyoming. Pretty close, really, with Wyoming between single family and multifamily units. So um, everything I think looks good. I'm excited about the market. I'm excited to get through the winter season, but we're just starting it, obviously. So Grand Rapids, the trends are a little bit not great. Um, Grand Rapids, the rents did retract a little bit. 49504, the rents did go up. Let's also keep in the back of our mind that some of this is due to brand new units coming on the market. So you have a bunch of brand new units coming on the market, it's going to pull those rental rates higher. Wyoming, 49509, and Kent all went down a little bit. Overall, 12-month change looks really good though. Just a line graph to talk about. You can see where it starts dipping down in all, one, two, three, and four bedroom units. Pretty typical of the fall and winter times. Collections are up. So, and actually, let me start over. RealPage, which is where this data is from, they own two pieces of property management software. They've been doing stats on the markets for over 30 years. So, very good data that I get this from. And your collections are around that 95 to 96% mark. Our collections, we're seeing about the same. Residents that we've placed are higher than 96%. Residents that we did not place are typically a little bit lower than 96% overall. Um, but effective rent has dropped a little bit. Not as bad as during COVID. Again, you're getting to your Q3 stats. This is the Q3 is where these stats come from, and you'll see that it dropped a little bit. Amenities that residents love. I like to sprinkle this in, get you away from all of those charts and reports and everything. We were just going to talk about our amenities for just a minute now. Kitchens and baths, we're still seeing residents are choosing units based on kitchens and baths. That's no different than when they're buying a property. They don't need to go out and spend $15,000 on hard surface countertops and things like that. But nothing beats a freshen up of a kitchen or a bath. We just did one, and it's like night and day for how it looked before. Changes the whole unit. Washer and dryer hookups, residents are really looking for those still. And I think that's one of those things that'll stay on this list until more and more people decide to put in washer and dryer hookups because it's such a huge thing, especially in your maybe not your small 2 bedroom units, but your larger 2 bedroom units and anything more than 2 bedroom unit. Really, washer and dryer hookups would be great. And then also, I know we're coming into the winter, but air conditioning, central air in the spring and summertime is huge. People aren't thinking about it right now, but I would keep in the back of your mind as you're budgeting for amenities that you want to add. Maybe air conditioning is something you want to add, depending on, of course, the unit makeup. So, occupancy, getting back to our boring charts, occupancy it dipped a little bit in this quarter. Not crazy, it's around that 95 to 96% mark. Still very good, still really good. Affordability, the occupancy overall um, dropped class A, B, and C. Um, Not a huge amount, a couple percentage points here or there. Demand, though, has kind of stalled out. So you'll see Q3 was actually the first time in over 30 years that there was a negative demand. So we'll get to reasoning about that here in a minute, but just keep in mind as you're putting your properties on the market, demand is pulling back. Here's some stats that I pulled just this morning. So it's October 17th. Comparing last year at this time to this year at this time, you'll see that last week for last week and last week for last year, so October basically the 10th or 11th through the 16th or 17th, was a better year this year than last year. Um, but overall, this past 4 to 5 weeks has been slower than this time last year. I mean, look at October 4th through the 10th, 8.25 scheduled showings per on market unit, and 2022 we only had 3.3. And nothing's changed with our how we're marketing properties. We still have, in my opinion, the best marketing out there. But the biggest thing is you have inflation, and there's a lot of confidence issues, and a lot of people don't. They just kind of want to wait and see, and that's what Jay Parsons, who is RealPage's head of economics and industry principles, says. All of their data kind of points to people have a lot of unknowns in their life, so they're just kind of waiting and seeing. And there's not a lot we can personally do about that, except for some of our kind of our marketing things that we'll do. But hopefully, and our hope, and that's kind of what Jay has said too, is spring, summer, people hopefully kind of be on the bandwagon of moving again. So renewals are very high right now. I look at our move outs, our upcoming move outs, and the list is smaller than what it's been in a while, which is great. Renewals percentage is up. Ours, I would say, is up higher than 56%. We're closer to that 60 to 70% renewal rate right now, which is great. Um, but it's good to know renewals are up. That also is contributing. You don't have as many people that are moving, they're just renewing. Let's get into some fall and winter tips. So, some general maintenance tips. Make sure your hoses are unhooked from your outside spigots. Do a maintenance check over of the unit. Change the filter while you're there. This is a great time also to send a fall winter letter to all of your residents. Just talk about um, spigots, unhooking any hoses, make sure that they keep their heat up at 62 to 65% when they are leaving. They're gone for an extended period of time. Let the management and a friend or family member know. Have somebody go over there and check that heat every so often. So those are some things we included in our letter. We also include that they need to check their stove and oven at least a week before Thanksgiving, make sure that's working, because the week of Thanksgiving, their stove or oven is probably not getting fixed. Going back to our list, make sure that you hit any of those exterior items, siding, window, roof issues. Get those all buttoned up before the fall and winter time. If you can't make it to every tenant, I like to sometimes just call, or we actually have a resident-led assessment, and the part of that is going outside and just doing a look over and see if anything meets the naked eye, so to speak, that needs to be fixed. We already talked about residents leaving the heat high, check the stove and oven. So now let's get into some of our marketing tips and tricks for the fall winter time. Drop the rent. I mean, really, that is the biggest thing. If your rent is too high, you need to drop it. And it's amazing to me how much a $25 rental rate drop will do. Sometimes we drop it and then all of a sudden we get 3 or 4 applications in. So I really believe in that the rental rate is probably the number one thing. We also sometimes will do a move-in special. So maybe you'll take half a month off their first month's rent. We'll do a refund of some type of move-in costs. So maybe they get their application fee refunded to them, or their application fee credited on their first month's rent. And then I also say, look at the stats. I mean, we pull all the stats, as you can see, and then make improvement based on those stats. So make data-driven decisions. And I know that that's been used and abused by a lot of other people and industries, but I like to look at it, and I look at how many views do we have, how many showings do we have, and how many leads do we have. So if we have a ton of leads, people that are emailing in for more information, but they're not scheduling a showing, there's something there before they get to the property. So most of the time it is honestly rental rate. Sometimes it is your photos, something in your photos isn't very good. So this is one of those things where I really stress, take nice photos. Don't go in there and take photos with your phone right side up. And I don't even believe in, taking photos with your phone in the first place unless it's an absolute emergency. Make sure those photos are nice. Go through those photos. Maybe there's an ugly one in there that you can take out. We also look at it and say, okay, if they're making it there, so if they're scheduling a showing but they're not filling out an application, why is that? Is that maybe the prospect that went to the property isn't really qualified, even though we pre-qualify them? Maybe they got there and there's an ugly kitchen, and there's only so much you can do once they're there to dress it up without doing full-fledged remodel, which brings us back to rental rates. Make sure you're providing useful amenities. Maybe most people are looking for a washer and dryer hookup, things like that. Again, there's only so much you can do at a turnover once you already have it on the market. But I really look at how can we lower the barrier of entry for somebody to rent one of our units. And maybe that is dropping the rental rate. Maybe it's a move-in special. I also look at some of the other websites and I can see how long it's been on the market and things like that. And you'll see that things are getting dropped right now. The rental rates are. So that is what we have for today. It's our October rental rate update. Overall, I am still excited about the market. I know that Q3 wasn't great. I don't think Q4 is going to be great either. But my hope and my thought is that as things hopefully settle down, we get through this election cycle in November, and then by spring, summertime, during that lease up period, more and more people are moving, because they are not going to sit, as we know this from COVID, people are not just going to sit at their home and not move for an extended period of time. They might sit there and deal with it for a short period of time, but I don't believe that overall they're just going to sit there for more than 6 months to a year. So my feeling is the market is going to get better still. We might not see our 6 to 10% rental rate hikes during lease renewals. It might be back down to 3, but I do believe, and I'm excited that the market will improve. It's probably going to take till spring, summertime to improve though. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. John with Simple Property Management. Thank you very much.